This film profiles the Across the Divide project, sponsored by CHERIL, the Centre for Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Learning, undertaken by the Science and Engineering Education Research and Innovation Hub in collaboration with a range of schools within the Faculty of Science and Engineering.
The answer's an easy one. Came on a primary school visit with you and had a bit of a shock. Was it a 7-year-old lad who was showing me around? The one who actually shows a green screen room, confidently using that, cutting video. And I suddenly realised, give these kids a few years on us, they're going to come to the university. Are we going to be ready for the learning styles? Are we going to be ready for their expectations? So that's why I got into CHERIL. It was in the hope of understanding the gap, and through understanding it, see what we can do.
I don't think our practices have changed much in the last 20 years, and they don't reflect the changes in the technology that has happened.
I run the Industry Experience Programme, so we have about 70 students doing placements in industry as part of their degree. And I'm interested in how schools are going about tackling the same issues around employability, especially in engineering, because it's a big issue for lots of engineering companies, is where their recruits are going to come from.
Okay, so we are the JCB Academy, and our whole premise, rather than setting out to get great vocational academic outcomes and then hoping that some skills might fall out along the way, the process for us is very much focused on designing our curriculum delivery around that core set of principles.
I think the biggest thing for me has been seeing how project-based learning and learning in real context is applied to something that's a curriculum and a qualification, so seeing how that's done alongside a qualification is really exciting.
I think especially when we talked about teaching and learning, lots of the strategies and styles of teaching and learning that are being used here are being used in lots of other schools as well, but I think the real key thing is the links to industry.
They were clearly resourced to deliver very practical learning, and this is a scale I just didn't anticipate. To actually see a room where you've got 20 plus lathes and you accept that this is for a class, or was it 198, they're going to chop them up. It was amazing just to see the investment, the space. Actually also there was a large open spaces, which shows they've got the confidence not just to ram teaching into every corner.
In terms of what we could take away from here, it's really interesting because a lot of the stuff that I've seen has been based upon physical resources and things. What I'm trying to pick through is, well, why does it have to be isolated to a secondary or anything else? Why can't it be Key Stage 2, Key Stage 1 even?
I suppose the industry links were very impressive. Nice that they were sort of in contact with young graduates who were able to sort of lead the way and show them through their own experiences.
And as we were talking this morning about learning outcomes, not simply having them at the unit level, they've got them right down to individual sessions and are confident enough to effectively put them on the board as you walk into the room.
Which really, I suppose, is it's a working environment.
I look at doing 4 days with the company, working alongside them within my apprenticeship scheme, but the same day I'll get sponsored to go to university and do a degree within that company.
Never to underestimate children. I mean, in year 4 they're only 8 and 9, but they're perfectly capable. Just give them some equipment and just let them see what they can do with it.
It's making sure that they continue it within the secondary schools. If we're teaching for the real life, the meaning, making sure that they don't just then go to teach to the test in a secondary school and they aren't getting those embedded skills and the habits of mind that if we're trying to promote in primary school, that's continuing in secondary school, then into the workforce.
But actually I've sat with a lad who has told me how a 3D printer works at a level of detail and so articulate that if he hit us next week, we'd be struggling, I think, in terms of the facilities we've got and how he'd perceive us. And again, it comes back to that Rolls-Royce challenge question. How do you keep that creativity, wrap it in good engineering principles, and then push them out into the world of engineering? and I still don't think we're there. Well, I think we're further away than I thought we were.
Definitely made me think twice about how do we make sure that we are not complacent when we are trying to attract these young people to come to our university.
You just sort of forget, you know, how good they are at things, and how I think expectations have to be higher. I think we underestimate what they can do.
I think it will be interesting. What I really want to hear from Helen is her perspective on what we do. So she's coming from a different background. She's seeing all of the activities that I have seen so many times and I have described to people so many times. I would really want to see what is Helen's perspective on what she's seen. The facilities, the activities, what's the similarity and what's the difference with respect to what she does in Salford.
I think I've seen a variety of teaching methods, so whether that's in a more sort of traditional lecture style or a small group work and practical hands-on skills.
And I'm hoping that will influence her approach to her pupils and students in any sort of conversation when they are asking her, what is it like once I finish high school and go into university?
I think in the lecture that I saw, there was some questioning of students. It wasn't just completely sort of them listening, but I think in a school you'd definitely see a lot more questioning, direct questioning of students to see where they're at really and to see that they're making progress. And I think I've worried in the past that sometimes I don't put enough context into my lessons, that sometimes it can become well, we have to cover this because this could be examined. But sort of to hear Oggy say that actually for the first year it's about them developing the skills, that kind of I suppose made me feel a bit easier about there not always being a direct context. I think I'd still strive to have a context there, and I think making links with universities and coming around the department's been really useful to maybe think about how we could build on those links and how I could put more context into my lessons, because I do think that is what engages students, if they can see a real life reason for learning the bit of science that they've got to learn.
You'd obviously got them to accept or have the expectation that you would ask questions. So when they were talking amongst themselves and then they were asking questions, but you would, for example, pick someone to answer a question. And I find that really interesting because that's one of the massive challenges in lecturing or in a big group of students. They never want to answer, and it's how do you set that expectation?
It's something that we're building into more often, and I much prefer not having the hands up, because it is always the same people who want to contribute, which is lovely, but then the other children don't contribute as much, so we'll use the lolly sticks to pick random people out, or I'll just randomly say them. The children there, and they're getting much more used to it. The PhD students working with the undergraduate students, I thought that was quite interesting. I think that's something we could maybe take on board and get some of the older children who have already done that topic or something like that, to get them involved in teaching and helping the other students, because that is one of the best ways to remember what you learn, is to teach other people about it. So I think definitely that side of it I would like to try out more so in primary school.
And you commented earlier about the corridor space as being a learning environment because you've got all the displays going on through the corridors, and we don't do that. You know, everything, even though the students they do make posters, they make ways of communicating that could be displayed. We don't actually display it anywhere. So there's not this idea of that it's a learning environment, or in fact
that there's a motivation to learn, because your work might be on the wall, and it seems, I don't mean that in a patronising way, I think that's a really good thing.